When were you born?
The 18th of December 1923.
And where was that?
Are you recording this?
Yes, I am.
Say that again, please.
Hang on. Where were you born?
Ashburton, Mid-Canterbury, New Zealand.
In the hospital there, or was it at home?
In the Arawa Maternity Hospital.
Do you know what time you were born? No. Do you know how much you weighed? No.
I've got the cutting somewhere.
Okay. And was your mum and dad present? Or just
Well,
your
no.
Well, your mum would have been there, but she would have been there, yeah. Hopefully. It'd have been a bit scary if she hadn't been. So was your dad there?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Okay. Because dads didn't really, they weren't really at the birth.
They weren't anywhere.
They were at the pub, waiting for it's a boy, it's a girl.
Yes.
Is that what they did? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, did you just go straight home from the hospital?
It's now
or
been
you
pulled down, the Arawa Maternity Hospital, and it's now the Power Rubber Company.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's a bit sad. So, and where were you living? Where was your mum's house?
Number 8 Eden Street, Ashburton.
Number 8 Eden Street. And so you were born and you went home. And how long did you stay at number 8 Eden Street?
When I graduated,
Yeah.
it was May 1946.
So 23, 33, 42.
So I was 22.
22. Oh wow, so you lived in Ashburton until you were 22?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So what was your first school?
The Hampstead School, or the Ashburton East Primary School.
And was it a big school, small school? Like how many students are there?
Oh, I don't know, about 400 I should think.
Would that be considered big or small there?
That would be average.
Did you have just the people of Ashburton come to that school, or was it the surrounding areas? Or
Everyone who lived in the area, the east side of Ashburton, would try to go to the Ashburton East School.
and what was it like? What was the school like? Did you have little school uniforms, or was it you
Yes.
didn't have to wear
It
uniforms?
was black and white uniform.
Oh, I love black and
I
white.
wore a tie.
Oh, did you? Oh,
Yes.
bless, that's cute. And were there any horrible teachers? Like, what was school life like?
Was it any what?
Horrible teachers. Like, what was the school life like?
Oh, well no. They were all just teachers. I can remember their names, all that sort of thing.
Right. But I mean, you know, when I think about when I was a kid, you know, there's Mr. Willis, you know, like I can see him as clear as day, and you'd be sitting in your seat, and he'd be able to turn around and throw a whiteboard, you know, the blackboard rubber at you, and it would hit you, clock you straight on the head, you know, because in those days it was okay for teachers to hit children at school. I mean, like, did you have any crazy teachers that would give you the cane, or?
Yes, all teachers had the ability or the freedom to use the strap.
The strap. Oh,
on
nice.
one's hands.
Oh, is that like a piece of leather?
Yes, a leather strap. Yes.
And you just put your hand out.
You held your hand up like that, and you closed your eyes.
Did you ever get the strap?
Oh yes.
Did you? What for?
For apparently being naughty, I suppose.
What sort of things did you do that wasn't? You can't remember being
I
naughty.
don't remember being naughty. No.
Oh, rubbish. Okay, so you don't remember being naughty. What sort of things did you? What sort of things did one do at school in the school breaks? Like when you were at playtime, did you?
Well, we played
what games did you play?
Football and cricket and all those sporting things. There was quite a big sports field attached to the school, or part of the school block.
Right. And girls. Who was your first girlfriend?
Evans. Who?
Who? Do you remember your first kiss at school? And how old were you?
No, I was taken into school by Joe Spicer. My mother took me to the gate, and Joe took me into school.
Joe Spicer, she was a girl at school, was she?
No, he was a boy.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Joanne, but no, apparently not.
And he called me Kid.
Kid.
Because he was a big boy.
Right. So there's no kiss chase at school, no kissing girls around the school?
No, we didn't do anything like that.
Didn't you?
No.
Oh gosh.
Not at primary school.
Not at primary school? God, we played kiss
I
chase
had
at primary school.
girlfriends at secondary school, but not at primary school.
So what was your next school that you went to after?
I went to a high school. This would, as opposed to a technical school. I don't think they exist any longer, actually.
Right.
They're a secondary school as opposed to...
Yeah, I went to secondary school, but now they have all the... They call them bloody colleges. I don't know what. And all this 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th form. I don't know.
The high school and the technical high school combined to form the Ashburton College. And I never ever went to it.
No. I don't understand how they all work. And so you would just do your normal classes like English and Maths and Geography and History, and that's where you did all of that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Up until you went on to university. So at that school, again, what were your teachers like? Did you have a girlfriend? What was your school life like there?
I was quite ambitious to be good at schoolwork, to be an achiever. And so I vied for positions of first, second, third or fourth in the class.
Right.
Every class that I can think of.
And were you good?
Yes.
Right.
I was a good examination candidate.
Really?
Mm.
I didn't get that gene from you. I didn't get that one, I missed that one. No, couldn't quite do the exam thing. And so, when did you know that you wanted to do dentistry? Like, when did you...
The first thing I wanted to be was a member of the church.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, thank God you didn't do that.
This is pretty largely because Mr. Farron had two very attractive looking daughters.
Well, and he was the local vicar, was he?
And he was the local St. Stephen's Church Anglican vicar. And there was, yes, that would be it.
So the two girls thought you might want to be a priest.
I never spoke to them. I sort of had feelings for them from afar.
Right, right. So you wanted to be a priest, and then what made you change your mind?
And then I had a friend whose parents were in law, and so I suppose his eldest sister was a barrister and his father was a lawyer. There's a slight difference.
Right.
And I had three cousins, one who did medicine and two who did dentistry. And I decided that I was going to do dentistry because at secondary school I hadn't taken Latin as a classical subject.
And you needed to have Latin to do what?
And you had to have Latin to be accepted in your first year at university as part of medical intermediate examination.
Oh, okay. Right.
My university had a charter to actually confer degrees.
So, finishing at your school,
almost coincidental with my going to university, the war started to end.
the war started to end. So okay, so so there's a war going on the whole time that you're before you go to school. Then, how was that? What was life like with that?
The war started in 1939, and I had been at secondary school since 1937.
Oh, okay. So how were you affected by the war in New Zealand? I mean,
We had to have our windows blacked out so that no light was exposed.
in New Zealand?
Yes.
Why? Wasn't the war
Well, you
like
see,
somewhere else?
I mean, yes, I appreciate that, but I mean, for example, in the United Kingdom, which was very close to festivities as far as the war was concerned, they pulled down all the wrought iron railings around the town, around the city of London, in order to make them contribute towards the war effort, and they couldn't use this cast iron at all, ever.
Right.
But people did it because they thought they were helping the war effort, so we blacked out purely because we thought it was partly to help the war effort.
How funny.
Well, not really. If you think that all the things in and around London had wrought iron fences,
Yes, and they're pulling them all down so
they
that
pulled them all down, but couldn't use the metal at all for anything.
Yeah.
But people thought that having been asked to do this, they did it because they thought it was helping the war effort.
Well, because they want to rally round and make people feel that they're part of something.
Yes.
And everyone's dying, so you might as well pull down your fence or black out your windows to make it a little bit better, and you won't feel so guilty for being at home, maybe.
Yes. Our contribution was really quite.
So did you have rations and all that sort of thing?
Oh, yes, yes.
So what did you have to do with I don't even know
Well,
how
we
any of
had-
this works. So
We had rations insofar as that flour and sugar, and we had coupon books for food,
oh, okay.
and everybody bought their full ration so that our outhouses where the washing and so forth was done was absolutely stacked full of sugar at the end of the war,
Really?
because we bought everything that we were entitled to have. So we must have had tons of the stuff.
Really, that's too funny.
Yes.
I suppose.
We had meat rationing and all sorts of, just like Dad's army.
Yeah, I can imagine actually.
Yes.
So, what would be like an average week in your life then? So
As
Monday.
a child.
Yeah, like I mean, in terms of, when you get your coupons, like what
Well,
what was it like? I mean,
had to,
draw me a picture.
I had
Paint me
to
a
work
picture.
in, all children had to work in what they called some sort of occupation which had to make some contribution towards replacing the labour of the men and women who had gone
Okay.
overseas. So I worked on farms and the butter factory and the freezing works and things like that.
Did you? What did you have to
throughout
do?
the winter. Well, at the Mid-Canterbury Transport I was a lime sower. In other words, we carried out picking up bags of fertiliser from the railway yards and taking them out to these farms and scattering the stuff all over the farmers' fields.
Oh wow.
And in the freezing works, it was all the occupations that men would have done
Had they been there?
if they had been there. But of course, there's such a huge number who had gone off from a population point of view during the war that only the kids were left, really.
Wow. Was it hard?
In order to remain in New Zealand, all the fit men could only occupy reserved occupations,
Right.
and that meant that school teachers were allowed to stay, but not all of them.
Wow.
And the cadet officers that we had at secondary school could have been lieutenants or captains in the army then, were reduced to the ranks of sergeant to go overseas.
Wow. It would have been quite a scary time.
Not really. We we were physically untouched by the war, really and truly. There was no...
How come your dad was allowed to stay?
Well, he was old.
Oh, was he old?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
My dad would have been... He'd gone to the First World War, and I should think he had been born in about 1894.
Wow, God, 1894, that sounds
And
like
so,
such a long
yes.
time ago.
And so he would have been, during the war, all the men who were between the ages of 21 and 39 were conscripted to serve overseas,
Wow.
except for those who were in reserved occupations.
Right. Wow. What was your dad's name again?
I beg your pardon?
What's your dad's name again? Chaz?
Charles.
Charles. It was Charles, but people called him Chaz. Did he have a middle name?
Yes, two terrible names, Bright Grover.
Bright Grover, that's right. Yes,
Charles Bright Grover Valentine.
And where does his family originate from? Bright Grover. I've got to do that to one of my children.
His father came out at a very early age. His grandfather was a stonemason from central England somewhere,
Oh, okay.
and they came out first to live in Australia, and they didn't like Australia, so they came on to New Zealand.
Right.
And the most western port at that time was the Bluff.
Right.
There were no ports on the west coast at all, really. And so they settled in Bluff and in Chicago.
So Charles Bright Grover. Why didn't I call Charlie Charles Bright Grover? I just think that's such a great name. I didn't even think about it. So your dad arrived in New Zealand when he was how old?
No, my father was born here.
Oh, your father was born here. Oh, okay,
Yes,
so
and his father was, I should think, about 2 years old when he first came out to Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, right. What was your dad's dad called? Your granddad?
His name, it's in the Bible somewhere.
Oh, okay. And do you remember your...
John Valentine, I think, yes.
John Valentine. And what was your granny's name?
Well, I think she had a name like Matilda.
Oh, okay. John and Matilda Valentine, that's funny. So John and Matilda Valentine were also born in New Zealand? Or
I think probably they were, yes.
so
And certainly they were buried in Ashburton Cemetery.
Oh, really? So
Yes,
your mum and dad are in Ashburton, and your grandparents?
And my grandparents.
Oh.
And the thing which we used to do, which was terrible on reflection, was that a cousin of mine, a young cousin of mine who used to come and stay, he and I used to go out and weed the graves
Right.
of my grandparents. And when we saw people coming, we would say we were orphans. And we were just cleaning up our parents' graves. And we hadn't eaten for 2 days.
So they'd give you a
So
cookie
they'd
box.
give us 2 and sixpence, and we'd go down to the railway station and buy a big bar
Sweets.
of chocolate.
It's okay, Dad. I got that gene from you as well.
Yes.
Yes, the naughty gene. Yes, yes, that's opportunist. It's a good gene to have.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got, and so okay, Matilda and John, their parents came from Middle England.
Yes.
And when you say Middle England, like what are we talking about? Like from Manchester?
He was a stonemason, I think, in Manchester or somewhere up that
So
way.
really, we're Northerners.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking Northerner.
Yes. We're,
I'm a Manx.
no, Manx is the Isle of Man.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, a Mancunian then. I'm a
Mancunian
Mancunian.
is a person who lives in Manchester. Yes.
Right, so really we're descendants of Mancunians. God, I'm such a snob. I'm going to have to learn how to
Very
speak
strange place.
like a Manchesterian person
England.
now.
And English is a very working class language. Very working class, which is why it survived. The court language was French.
Oh, okay. But I mean, you know, you speak English like you're from Windsor.
I had to be taught English.
You don't even remotely have a Kiwi accent at all.
Well, no, I was invited to...
And yet you're a Mancunian. I mean, come on.
Just a minute. Having been born here, I then spent a long time in England, but in order to join the lecturing circuit for the Postgraduate Federation, they had to teach me to speak English first, because after all, I was talking to English people, and they had to understand me, which they couldn't have done if I went with a New Zealand accent.
That's true. You speak English. Yes. Charlie says yes and
Yes.
bread and milk. He goes, can I have some milk? I'm like, it's not milk.
Yes, it's terrible.
It's
isn't it?
milk. It's milk.
You think of words like bulk funding. Where on earth do they think that from? And Gulf Harbour. The Hauraki Gulf.
Hauraki Golf. I know. It's terrible, isn't it?
Yes.
It drives me up the wall. But Charlie's already picking up. He knows how to change it. He can hear it. I think because he can speak German, he can...
Roscoe only spoke English in his sleep.
Right.
He spoke New Zealand when he was awake.
Yeah. Well, when Peter and I went to Devon, down the village lake, we'd speak like that. Because we had
Yes.
to. Because otherwise you just wouldn't be accepted into your little clique.
Mm.
Okay, so we're digressing. So we had food rations, we had... we were with your parents, that's right.
Almost coincidental with my graduation, the war finished.
That's right.
Yes.
And you then started university. Had we had any girlfriends up until this point?
Oh yes, yes.
Did we have our first girlfriend at all at this point?
Yes, I was madly in love with Norma Joan Cromie.
Norma Joan Cromie.
And then two sisters became involved, Betty
Excuse me.
and Lindsay Vincent. But that was at secondary school, yeah.
And so where did you have your first kiss and was it worth it?
Oh yeah. I'm not sure that I ever kissed anyone, but... No.
Who was your first real girlfriend then? Who was the first one that you just think, oh, I did love that Norma Jean Cromie or whatever her name was?
I think there was a big difference in the way we were brought up at that time.
How did one date?
We didn't date.
Right.
I think my parents used to look upon milk bars as 1 foot towards the grave. It was, there was one rather strange thing that I've found out since it happened. There was one very attractive looking girl who in fact had to leave Ashburton and go to Christchurch, and I thought it was very strange, but I found out 20 years later that the reason why she left Ashburton was because she became pregnant. I couldn't imagine how that had happened.
Yeah. It's funny the way in those days if you got pregnant you were sent away.
Yes.
Like it was just the most terrible thing in the world. You've been a hussy, you slut.
My sister's daughter, both the daughters I think, had illegitimate children.
Of your sister?
One of my sister's children, yes. The pop singer.
So, okay, now let's go over your brothers and sisters. So your mum and dad, your dad's Chaz and your mum's, I want to say
Elizabeth.
Norma, Elizabeth, that's right.
Yeah.
And they had 4 children.
3.
3 children.
2 girls. And I was the baby. So
Right,
it was
so-
Norma, Elaine.
Norma,
And
Elaine,
me.
and you. And Elaine,
She had 2 daughters, and I think, and she died really quite young.
she was in her 40s, wasn't she?
She was about 39, actually, or
Oh, really?
39 or 40 years.
What did she die of?
Well, she had a thing sort of called an aneurysm,
Really?
which is a failure of one of the blood vessels in her head, actually. And so they are congenital. They're born with this weakness in the actual wall of the blood vessel, and it just explodes, as it were. And so they go out bang just like a lamp.
Nicole, she had some weird brain blood thing in her head that
yes.
exploded, but she lived. They didn't think she was going to.
Yes. I think there have been huge advances in maintaining life, as it were. People live longer now, not because of anything else, that we get better medical treatment.
So Elaine was the first one.
No, Norma was the first one.
Oh, Norma was the oldest.
Yes.
Oh.
She was born in October the 25th, 1920. And Elaine was born on the 30th of May, about 1922.
And then you
And I
came
was
in
born
1922.
December 1923.
Right. And did they all live? Did they stay down in Ashburton area, or did they move
no,
away? Or?
Both of my sisters went to Wellington, and both married in Wellington.
Right. And their children are where?
There's one here in Auckland, and I haven't seen her for over 10 years.
What's her name?
I don't recall.
And she's your cousin then? No.
No, she's my niece.
Right. Yes, of
And
course, your niece.
The other one went to Australia. I would hazard a guess that they're both dead now.
Oh.
Well, when one is I'm just about within days of being 84.
Yes.
It's very unlikely that there are none of my contemporaries in my graduating year who are alive.
Oh my God. That must be so weird.
Yes.
Ooh, something quite sad. Ooh. I can't imagine what that would be like.
It's difficult to accept quite a lot of it, really.
I'd hate to think of all my friends being dead. That's just
Quite recently,
weird.
I went to some of the local cemeteries and I visited an undertaker and told them that I was prospect of Kennedy.
Oh God.
And one of the burial grounds where they carry out cremations as well,
Are you going to be
they have a
cremated?
thing called a burn.
A what?
A burn. B-E-R-M.
Oh.
And it's a place where it's an elevated terrace, really,
Right.
on which the ashes can be placed.
Bill.
But the interesting thing really is that I chose this place on the basis that Peter Sellers in the Pink Panther
Yes.
spoke with a contrived French accent, and he always referred to a bomb as a burn.
Yes.
And so I
You
thought,
picked
well,
yourself a berm.
I think I might go to this place and have my ashes put on a bin.
Right. So you've organised all your own funeral and stuff?
Well, no, I've got they're all down there, I think. I think the actual pamphlets are just there somewhere.
Right.
Those ones there, there's there, it is there. There are two
Right.
of them.
See, that must be so weird.
Well, it was really
Career
quite funny.
cemetery and crematorium. God.
I
I suppose you've got to get organised.
I was about to fill in one of these things, and
That's quite nice.
they are
Those things.
produced, I think, by the Registrar of Births, Deaths and Marriages for the whole country, for the whole of New Zealand. And one of the questions which is asked in one of those books is, had I been married before? And the answer, of course, is yes.
Oh yeah, a couple of times.
And the other thing was, when did your first wife die? And so I had to write to Richard, who lives in Bali, and I said to him, I wonder if you mind telling me when Alison died. And he said, I should think the Registrar of Births, Deaths and Marriages would know.
Oh
that.
yes, of course. Yeah.
And I said, well, I sent him another email to say they would only know when she died if in fact somebody asked them.
Told them to
Or
tell
told
her.
them,
Yeah,
yes. So I don't know when she died, really.
Oh, that's a bit depressing, really. Okay. Right. So. Let me think. Where are we up to?
That film that you made, I've got no idea where that was actually shot.
Which film?
You gave me a film of
Oh yes,
my
the old
parents
film. Yeah.
and Basil Wilson was in it.
Yeah. You still haven't worked out where it is.
I've got no idea where
Well,
that was.
I'm seeing Bruce. I'm seeing Bruce and Sue before we go to
They were
Rotorua.
children at the time,
That's
weren't
right. He might recognise the place.
they? Well, I mean,
'Cause the
no,
park-
you see, my father is in the film, and I don't recall him ever coming to the North Island.
Right. Because everybody's there, really. Maybe Bruce and Sue. Maybe it wasn't Ashburton. Or near Ashburton, or Christchurch, or...
See, then Basil Wilson came from Hastings, and he didn't come down to Ashburton for any reason at all, I don't think.
Well, did somebody get married in Wellington or something? And did maybe your dad go to a wedding, or...
It's possible, I suppose. It could have happened while... No, it could...
Because Elaine was in it, wasn't she? And so was Norma. And you
Yes.
must have been filming.
I've got no idea where it is.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm going to give it to Bruce and then he can have a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to get all those other things transposed onto DVD for you?
I've got no idea where they are.
I've got them all in my garage.
see.
You gave them to me years and years ago, and I just kept them. And
Yes, I give such old stuff away. I've got no idea where it's
yeah,
gone.
no, I just thought I'd keep it and then give it to you. You know, to put it onto. I can do it onto DVD. I mean, it's not cheap, but I don't mind doing it.
Oh, no,
But I mean, it would be nice for you to see it, don't you think? When you watched that one before, how did you feel?
No, you see, the thing is that in all the time I was in England, I never ever followed genealogy to find out where my great-grandparents lived. Never. I mean, it is of no great interest to me at all, really.
Why?
I don't know.
My mum's really into all of that stuff. I mean, she's so
Yes,
into
well,
it does my head in.
Some people regard family as the reason for life, really. And
I've had that drilled into my head. Like, family's the most important thing for me in my
I've got
world.
some relatives here who are so interested in genealogy that it just doesn't matter. And it was they live in Auckland somewhere, and it was she who came around and borrowed the family Bible. Now why I've got that, I've got no idea either.
Oh, it's a family Bible.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, I'm really into family. I think maybe it's just different for women.
Mother often thought I was related to Jesus.
God. Don't say things like that. You can't say things like that. It's terrible.
Yes.
No, I think family's really important. I mean, you know, I mean, okay, you're now an only child because everyone's gone, but
Mm-hmm.
you have a family. You've got people that care about you. I mean, you know, like once you and Brenda are dead, I mean, Rossi will have me and Peter, and then he'll always have family.
I don't know whether he finds it important.
I don't know if it's different for girls. I've always been one that tries to get the family together.
Is Peter?
No, I don't think so.
So there you are, you see, so
But Peter knows that if the shit hits the fan and his life's falling apart, that he can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning and he knows that I'll be there for him.
Well, that's because you're his sister, but whether the extended family is important, I'm not quite sure.
Well, I mean, Mum brought me up with obviously Nicole and Yvonne and Sasha and Alex, and I love my cousins, like they're my brothers and sisters.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing better than Christmas dinner around the table with Bina and Tissy and Jim and Achim and the cousins, and now that they've got their children, and I love all of that. I love that big feeling of family and just being able to...
Well, I went to Bad Hersfeld once.
Bad Hersfeld, what's that?
It's in the east.
Oh, okay.
In the Ostzone.
Oh, right.
And they were really trying to establish an extended family link with the von Tiedemanns.
Oh, yeah.
And it was amazing. And there were people from everywhere there, from Australia.
No, they're really into it. I mean,
yes.
there's a book that's about yay thick,
Yes.
and Granny, my Granny, is the last one in that book that goes back with the von Tiedemanns, and then they all go on about the fact that they're related to the von Thurnentaxis, you know, the royals and all that sort of malarkey.
I stayed at their place somewhere in Germany, I can't remember where. And the existing son of the people who were living in the remnants of this castle used to come over to Britain and buy Land Rovers and take them back and then sell them at huge profits in Germany.
Funny. Right, I'm going to stop there. We've just got up to just before you go to university and the war. And I will... Thank you.
That was 1992, and Brenda, naturally enough, wanted to retain her British passport, but you could get a British passport then. You can't get one now, I don't think. They're all EU passports.
Oh my God, they would be as well.
Pardon?
Yeah, they would be EU passports.
Yes,
I didn't even
you
think
see, you
about
can't
that.
get a Liza pass now, or a French passport, or anything like that.
God.
Anyway, she had to get, no, she felt she wanted to retain her British passport. I mean, I've got my passports over here, and that's what the EU passports look like now.
Which
The red
ones?
And the blue one is a New Zealand passport.
Bloody hell, whose
And-
passport's this? That's weird, it's got a hard... Oh my God, you've got a new
No, you see,
passport.
That's the very first passport I had. British passport, New Zealand citizen.
British passport, New Zealand citizen, that's amazing.
Yeah. And these are all the passports
Yes.
here that I have had, I suppose. And there's quite this speech that I'm supposed to be doing
Oh, this is lovely.
is related to
Wow, Dad, this is amazing. This is so cool. Look at all those stamps.
well, I think Brenda's are all here as well, and Rossi and I have got both of them, you see.
Heaven was Valentine. 1958. Oh, you must keep this. This is so cool. But what's amazing is your New Zealand passport. It's got a hard plastic thing in, so you can't bend it. That's so clever.
Yeah. Well, they've got to be machine read now, you see.
Do not attach visa or stamp to this page. I wonder what's... Blimey.
Could I have that bottom one again? No, the bottom one there. That
This
one
one?
there.
Oh, this one. That's lovely.
Yes, that's an old one, you see, which...
It's a United Kingdom and Northern Ireland, but it's a European Union passport. I wonder if I've got a European Union... I think mine says... I don't know what mine says.
What colour is it?
It's red.
So it's an EU one, you see.
Is it?
And they used to do two of these, different ones of these. And on the top here, I think it is, they had something different.
I must check when my passport's going to go out of date, actually.
The United Kingdom used to be known as Great Britain. And then it was called, in French, the United Kingdom, or Royaume-Uni, which is United Royal Britain.
Oh, okay.
And Britain has never been part of the European Union financially.
Hasn't it?
No, that's why we always have pounds, shillings and pence and things, or pounds and pence now it is.
Oh, right, yes, because everybody's using
And
euros.
you don't, everybody has euros, you
Oh.
see, in all the other, but Britain has never joined the monetary union.
Why don't they do that?
That's why our pound is strong.
Ah, right, yeah. I used to love going across Europe, and you'd go into France, you'd have to get your French francs, and you'd go to Germany, get your Deutschmarks. And I think it's a pity that they've made it all one currency. It's like some weird new way of...
Well, when Brenda got her residence visa, it was guaranteed and only valid for a year. And if she didn't turn up within that year, it was
That's right,
cancelled,
it's cancelled,
and there
you
is
said,
no re-application.
That's right.
And I said, but this, I rang up the immigration office and I said, what you're saying is that if there's some hold up in the sale of the house or the air tickets or freighting our stuff out and we can't get to New Zealand within a year, that's the end of it. And that's all if you can take your son out any time you like.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Is this the desk that you had in the office in London?
Yes, and this is, well, the other one, the other one's in Ross's room. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so I've got to remember where we got up to. So we've got to do university.